This year has been such a great one in terms of gaming. We got blessed by absolutely amazing games that swept me off my feet, while others just weren't quite for me. Today's titles are all either full-on cozy life sims to relax with, or on the other hand, mature narrative-driven RPGs that make you emotional. Today, I will be ranking them from F to S tier just for fun, and I hope it can also help you a little in finding out which games are worth looking out for. Enjoy! I spent a lot of time with it, but in the end it still wouldn't become my favorite game. Fantasy Life I feel such nostalgia and happiness whenever I play this game. I really enjoy it. It visually looks very appealing, super cutesy and whimsical. The humor is great. I love the character creation. I also enjoy switching between multiple jobs, though I wish they weren't all required to get through the main story. Having extra companions and a town to decorate was an incredibly great idea. They are still giving us massive free updates, which is super cool. If only it wasn't so grindy. I personally found it a bit hard to feel like I wanted to keep grinding for high material equipment or furniture. This doesn't make it any less of a great game though. This is just my personal preference, but it is still an A-tier game for me. The Japanese-inspired setting is wonderful here, but Tales of Seikyu is a farm life sim in which you are a shapeshifter in a cozy magical world full of Japanese yokai lore. The premise of the game sounds amazing. I think it has loads of potential. It has lots of beautiful looking characters to romance as well. Keep in mind, this game is still in early access and I tried it at a very early stage, so I had a bit of a rough experience. To me, it lacked a little bit of polish back then and felt a bit clunky. The mythical intro was very original and intriguing though. I just didn't feel like I wanted to come back for the gameplay. The game keeps receiving updates though, so I do have hopes for it and the idea is very beautiful. For now, it is a C tier, but I think it could become higher in the future. I can only recommend this one if you want something quirky and cozy that also screams capitalism. In this county, we are living the life of a supermarket owner. We receive deliveries, organize the storage, and restock products onto the shelves. It sounds sort of tedious in real life, but in this game, I love it way too much. The product scanning function at the cashier is one of my highlights, and why does it feel just so satisfying? And what makes this game even better is the funny humor and the dialogues. You can tell the devs were trying to breathe life into this world, and I really appreciate all the slightly shady characters. It is a simple but a super fun and quirky little game that I casually enjoyed playing, so it goes into the A tier. Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma is the spin-off I have always wanted for this series. It is incredibly beautiful and atmospheric, and I love how unapologetically Japanese-inspired it is. I understand that the easy difficulty and the simplicity of the automated farming were a turn-off for some hardcore players, but for me, this made Guardians of Azuma the perfect game. I didn't need to grind, I didn't need to micromanage tedious things that I don't like, and I could focus on the main story that mattered the most to me. And that one really delivered. I love it so much. Also, the characters became some of my favorites in the entire series now, and the deeper romance mechanics are really fun. This is one of my all-time favorites and an S tier. Speaking of traditional Japanese things, it is almost New Year and Sakuraco sent me another little surprise. Ooh, we have a Dharma shaved senbei, kurogoma mochi. I really love anything black sesame. I also really like kinako. It's often used in sweets. This is a wagashi calendar with traditional Japanese sweets. It's actually really handy. I don't have a physical calendar like this. I think it's time to make some tea and try some of the snacks. The tea is actually really good. Tastes a little bit roasted, but still mild. It is fish-shaped. It is so cute. I always wonder whether people eat the tail first or the head first. I would assume the cream is in front. So the outside is really fluffy dough and the inside is custard cream. I like it. This month is about Japan's New Year traditions. Last time we ate toshikoshi soba, because the noodles are long and they symbolize longevity. That's basically what Japanese oshogatsu is like. It's about family, and in comparison to Germany, it is a lot quieter in my opinion. No fireworks. You can also read about all the snacks, the ingredients, and common allergens. I always enjoy cozying up with snacks, especially in winter. So if you want to try a box yourself, head to the link in the description below and use my code CloudySkies to get $5 off. Many thanks to Sakuraco for sending me a box. I got so addicted to this game, at least while it lasted. In Hello Kitty Island Adventure, you live in a tropical paradise, trying to restore an old theme park with Hello Kitty and other Sanrio friends. Yes, we all know it sounded very Animal Crossing-like, but it ended up feeling very different. Loads of quests, many dailies, limited time events. It felt super fun, and yet on busy days, I felt like I still needed to log in to not miss out on anything. It kind of killed my motivation when I started missing out on things permanently. The general idea of doing friendship quests and your companions having passive skills to help you out was amazing though. The world is super charming and fun to explore as well. This game did many things right for me. B tier. I think this is by far one of the best Story of Seasons titles ever made. Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. It felt incredibly polished, and the Bazaar gameplay loop is so satisfying. The 4 seasons look super beautiful, the characters are charming, it feels very nostalgic and yet fresh and new. I think the only reason why it didn't become my favorite game this year is because it sort of is a remake of an already established world. I was personally just missing the little spark of wonder and novelty, and I want just a little more depth in terms of character interactions and romance. But I really love where the series is headed, and I have such high hopes for the next game. This is a super high A, almost S tier. I grew up with the series, so naturally I picked it up for nostalgia. Tamagotchi Plaza was a complete reboot of a nostalgic, beloved classic, the Tamagotchi Corner Shop games, where you essentially run multiple jobs and do lots of mini-games. I did think the gameplay was very reminiscent of the old days, and I had some casual fun with it. The game just didn't try to innovate or improve anything about it. The graphics look very dated and sort of weird. They could have done a lot more with the story and the world, but everything looks a bit empty and is lacking love for any details. It has lots of iconic characters and lore, but that is not enough to make a game great. I love anything Tamagotchi so much, but this is sadly a D tier. I always adore this series for its amazing humor. 2 Point Museum was their new spin, and as the title sounds, you are becoming a museum curator this time, and I love the whole quirkiness of it. The game never takes itself too seriously, and it just always manages to make me laugh. The management tycoon gameplay is exactly what makes it so addictive, and it had such a creative spin on it this time. You could explore the map like in a D&D session with random events, and you needed to keep maintaining rare exhibits. And this was so ridiculously fun. The difficulty is never super high for this series, so the gameplay loop can start feeling a bit repetitive after about 20 hours. This is why I would rank it slightly lower, but I am definitely in love with this game, A tier. This game is so whimsical and cute. In Whimel Academy, you can self-insert as a mage or a witch and simulate your own school life at a magical academy. Character creation is really fun and things like room decorating. You could call it a stat-raising life sim, and I liked that I could choose which skills to improve, be it potion brewing or herbalism and so on. Your stats determine one of the 30 endings you can get. Mostly, I am in love with the witchy vibes and the cute character art. It is definitely a nice concept to grow up with your classmates and potentially romance them. I only think that the narrative element in this game is a little on the weaker side. Of course, it is meant to be casual and cozy, and it is quite solid for that alone. I only wish there was a bigger overarching plot that made me feel more invested, and that's why Whimel Academy is a B tier for me. This game took a really unique idea and made it its own. In a kitchen sink Aloha, we become a chef in a Hawaiian paradise, and our goal is to run a successful restaurant. The reason why it got my attention is a different one though. It has a bonding romance mechanic that really reminds me of Fire Emblem. So you can team up with characters and it will boost your skills. In the process, you level up your affection level, which triggers romance events. Now, where I had my issues is with the cooking minigame. I would like to stress that there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. I am simply personally not a fan, but it takes quite a big percentage of the gameplay. I think if you like such minigames, it can be a wonderful title for you. Just for me, the romance mechanics alone aren't enough to feel hooked on it. This is currently my C tier, but it could be higher for you, and I would really want to revisit it. I have very complicated feelings for this one. inZoi was supposed to become a revolutionary life sim that was promised to be even better than any other life sim on the market, and I initially had very high hopes for it. The character creator was one of the most detailed ones I had ever seen, and it was fun to play around with. They give you lots of freedom to build things like in a sandbox. But the important part where it's supposed to simulate intelligence and real life is where it failed. It is a very complex thing to program, but these pixel people felt really empty and kind of stripped of personality. I think they really overpromised on that, and there just wasn't enough substance to it. The game is still in early access, so there is room for improvement. At the moment, it is merely a very beautiful shell, and this is why, for me, this is an E tier. This game has a special place in my heart. Wanderstop is the result of the idea that healing from burnout might be more complex than we think. I love this game for how it made me reflect on life, and it made me stop thinking that every moment in your life needs to lead to a productive result. And this wonderful idea, combined with some really polished and fun tea brewing gameplay, was something that I had never seen like this before. The world is also very mesmerizing and full of lore. It is a relatively short and linear game though, and for what it was, I loved it a lot. And it just doesn't have a lot of flexibility or replay value that would make me want to return to it. And that's the only reason why I would put it in the A tier. I never had such a big love-hate relationship with a game. I am sometimes so obsessed with Disney Dreamlight Valley, and sometimes I just don't play it at all. But it always fills my heart to dive into the magical world of Disney. The vibes are so beautiful, the world and iconic characters are true to their lore. It feels very nostalgic. The items and outfits are out of this world pretty. But then there are microtransactions and grindy elements that make you feel like you're missing out. It is pretty well done otherwise. The gameplay and story quests are actually fun. I love the DLCs. They are just really pricey as well, and you always need to make sure to not spend more money where you shouldn't need to. Because of that, I cannot fully recommend it, even though I have a lot of love for it. But it deserves a C for giving us FOMO when it should just feel cozy. I was so amazed by the cinematic storytelling in this one. In Dispatch, you are playing as a retired superhero, dispatching a bunch of chaotic supervillains to save people and to act as their new team leader. I would say it is about finding belonging and purpose in life and about shaping your own destiny. The minigames are pretty fun, the animations and the humor were such a delight. It made me laugh quite a lot and the soundtrack is really groovy. The main character's two love interests made so much sense for the plot, and the romance was executed very well in both cases. Do let me know if you are Team Blonde Blazer or Team Invisigal. I have really been craving such an immersive narrative title that feels a lot like the old Telltale games. A clear S tier. This one deeply moved me. In Our Life, Beginnings and Always, you go through all life stages from child to adult, and you choose how you spend your summer holidays. There is one main love interest named Cove, though now they have added 2 more, which shakes things up in a fun way. What I loved is that it makes you feel as if you are really spending your youth together with these characters, and it makes you feel super close to each one of them. Cove's personality also changes depending on your actions, so he can turn out a bit more outgoing or reserved, and this leads to vastly different story outcomes and relationship dynamics. The themes of found family and self-discovery are strong. It is very well written and I could roleplay it exactly the way I wanted to. If this one had a full voice acting and maybe a little bit of a more polished art style, it would be a masterpiece for me. But it is still a very strong A tier. This was a surprising one for me. In Cabernet, you are a freshly turned vampire juggling your brand new immortal life. It was really fun to explore a supernatural Eastern European world, choose what dresses to wear and what disciplines to study. Whether you go into literature, art, science, or history, higher skills unlock better dialogue options, and I also really enjoyed its morality system. For example, how do you still not harm a single person while you still need human blood to survive? You can also get into a relationship with some of the characters, which spices things up or complicates them. It is a great title for Halloween and I mostly enjoyed it, except navigating the map can feel a bit clunky and I got stuck a couple of times with the quests because it isn't as intuitive to play, but it is still a solid B tier with a great story. In I Was a Teenage Exocolonist, you live an entire life from age 10 to 20 in a space colony. You're trying to build bonds, polish your skills, and survive the harsh living conditions. But don't let the cutesy art fool you. This game has loads of mature themes and drama. With over 30 endings, you can decide your future career, whether you want to be a professor, explorer, or engineer, and you can make friends and get romancing others no matter the gender. My advice would be to do multiple playthroughs to make sense of the overarching plot. It is very well written. The stat raising parts did get a bit repetitive for me after a while though. I get why they are necessary, but I found myself wanting to skip the minigames entirely. I still greatly enjoy this one, so this is an A tier. If you love quirky humor and romance combined, Date Everything is great. So in this dating life sim, you actually get to date absolutely every household object or furniture piece you can think of. So you have these glasses that make everyone come to life and you can interact with everybody every day and raise your affection. The full voice acting and the dialogues are amazing and I had a pretty good laugh. I did enjoy this game as a parody or comedy title, which it clearly is, but I do think it would be better if the characters were more interconnected, because it does feel a bit like separate short stories put together rather than one cohesive world. But it is still an A-tier game. This game has a crazy number of exactly 100 endings. The 100 line is a mix of a visual novel and tactical turn-based combat. You are tasked to defend an academy from a big threat for 100 days. The only issue being that you have no idea where you are, how you got there, and what exactly you are even fighting. The suspense and mystery is excellent and always kept me on my toes. It even has romance roots. I'm a massive fan of the two writers who are known for the Zero Escape series and Danganronpa, and I had a blast with it. It is near impossible to see all 100 endings immediately. This is just such a massive beast of a game with so much dialogue. It clearly impressed me, so this is an S-tier game for me. This series is always such a vibe. In Octopath Traveler 0, we head on a journey with 8 travelers to take revenge on 3 evil forces who are threatening the peace in Ostera. I really enjoyed that we get to self-insert as our own character this time, and we also build our very own town from scratch. I have always been a fan of turn-based battles and the iconic HD 2D graphics, but this prequel works even better for immersion, I think. The 3 story branches about wealth, power, and fame were surprisingly creative in very dark ways. And I love that we can pick between over 30 companions. I love exploring the world and interacting with the NPCs. I am still playing this one, so currently it is an A tier, but it could become one of my favorites. I really wanted to love it, and for some parts I really did love it. Pokémon Legends ZA. I think the new Pokémon models, the fights, and the world turned out so beautifully. I mean, minus the flat windows. I enjoy the character creation as well and the music. I would also say the story felt engaging until about the middle, but after 20 hours it started feeling repetitive and like more of the same thing. I was missing the exploration factor. We could have needed visually more distinct areas and deeper interactions with our Pokémon as well. It is not a bad title, I think. I did like it more than Legends Arceus, but it could have been so much more, which is why I would put it in the C tier. I usually love full life simulations like this one. In Little Sim World, you can play as your own character and simulate your own little pixel life. And I appreciate that this game is set in England. The vibes felt very cozy and it looked cute as well. There are quite a few customization options and locations to visit or characters to meet. But for me, it was missing just a little something to keep me engaged. It felt a lot like a sandbox game. Moving around the map takes quite a bit of time, and overall it just didn't feel intriguing enough, if that makes any sense. I am placing it in a C because it personally didn't keep me hooked, but it's not like it's a terrible game by all means. It is so hard to find the correct words for something that leaves you so speechless. In Clair Obscure Expedition 33, you set out on a dangerous expedition to put an end to a death curse that strikes your people every year. The game likes to leave you in the dark about what is even happening, and it was so engaging to piece the story together by myself. Navigating the world left me in awe at just how beautiful it is. The turn-based combat is right up my alley and has innovative real-time elements. There are multiple endings and romance, the characters feel so likable and real. This is by far the most emotional and beautiful work of art I have ever seen in games. The music is wonderful and I have rarely cried that much. It leaves me thinking about it quite a lot even when I'm not playing, so this is the most impactful title I have played this year. S tier. This has been such a turbulent year, but thank you so much for sticking around with me. We have a lot more cozy life sims and slow life RPGs to come next year and beyond. So if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. I wish you a peaceful start into the new year. Take care, lovelies, and many virtual hugs to our sweet members for supporting us this year. Thank you so much, dear Danny, MJ, Ty, Liana, Faye, Alex, and Katie.